We have the polylines highlighting when we click on them, but oh, by the way, this is the completed version of the app, not the current version we're on. We have them changing the color, but we need to remove the regular icon and plant this marker and then show trip duration. So you can see when I click it, the marker, it's basically having a new marker plant which has a different info window on it. So that's what we're going to do in this video. We're going to work on planting a marker and removing that old icon when a polyline is clicked and also when the route is initially calculated. So to start off, we're going to go into user list fragment, and actually pretty much everything is going to be in here. So everything we need to write is going to be inside of this if statement right here. So we definitely want to change the color, so that's not going to change, but we need to plant a new marker basically. So I'm going to get a latitude and longitude object and call it end location, because this is where the marker is going to be planted. And inside this latitude longitude, we can do polyline data get leg, and then we can do dot end location, end location, and get the latitude. This is one of the reasons why I made the polyline data object class in the previous video, because what am I doing? Polyline data get leg. Trying to talk and type and think at the same time. It's not working very well, and because it makes it easy for us to get the location. So we have a reference to the polyline, and we also have a reference to the location. So there's one of the examples. So now let's create that new marker. So when we go to marker equals equals Google Map, add marker, and do new marker options. I'm going to close that off. And then inside these marker options, we're going to set the position, which is our end location we just defined above. We're going to set the title, which is going to say trip, and then the trip number. So it'll be an index, so I'm going to keep track of the position. So int index equals 0, and then every iteration of this loop, I'm going to go index plus plus. So then we know which trip we're pointing at, where the user clicked on. And we're going to do snippet and do duration. So this is going to be the duration of the trip. Do polyline data dot get leg, and then we want to do duration. So this is another reason why it's convenient to have the polyline. We have all kinds of information we can get from the leg, the ending location, starting location, duration, distance, like any of that stuff. If you just take a look here, you have all kinds of stuff. So lots of options there. So that's good. That will add the marker to the map. And then I'm going to do marker.show info window to pop the info window up immediately as soon as the polyline is clicked. So let's run that and let's take a look to see what that looks like. It's not going to be correct. There's going to be some issues, but I just want to show you. I want to show you the issues before we move ahead and actually solve them. All right, I'll go to the chat room, go to the fragment, and let's see. We'll calculate a route. So number one, obviously, it's still not zooming, but we haven't worked on that yet. And you can't even see the marker. So we haven't actually we don't get a marker as soon as the route is calculated, which is kind of silly, because you should have that marker plant immediately, and the fastest route should be highlighted. So you don't see that happening. But if I click on one of the polylines, then you kind of had some weird behavior happening. I don't see a marker, I don't see an info window. It's kind of just weird behavior. So basically what the takeaway here is that it's not working correctly. So the first kind of issue we need to solve with this is hiding that old marker, because we just want the plain old marker to be planted there, and we want to remove the marker with the image on it. So to do that, we actually are going to need a way to keep track of which one was selected. So like if I click this one, that means I'm selecting that one. So when I calculate the route, I want that to be removed from the map, because it's just kind of obstructing the view. So first thing we got to do is work on a way to keep track of the marker that's selected, or the marker whose route is being calculated, and then we want to kind of hide it while the polylines are added. So let's go back to our fragment here, and we're going to create a new variable, a marker variable. So private marker mSelected marker, we'll call it. And this is going to be the one that keeps track of the one that's selected. We want to set this variable inside of the onInfoWindowClick method. So onInfoWindowClick, where it is, here it is. Because when in our application, when the route is about to be calculated, that's when the info window is clicked. So if I click here and then I click an info window, that's when we're about to determine a route. So that's a good place to set the selected marker. So I can just do that right here, mSelected marker equals marker. Now when the polylines are added to the map, we want to hide that marker. So add polylines to map. We're going to go here and scroll down to where the polylines are added to the map. And at this point, we want to take the selected marker and we want to set the visibility to invisible. Because if the polylines are, what's going on here? Set visible, oh no, set visible false. So when the polylines are added to the map, we want to remove that marker because it's obstructing our view. So now let's run that and take a look and see if that's any better than what we were dealing with before. All right, I'm going to go to the chat room, go to the fragment, and let's calculate a route. And I'll zoom up here. What's going on? There we go. Okay, so we have it's being hidden, which is good. But now number one is the marker isn't being planted immediately, so that's what we want. And actually the marker isn't being planted at all when I click this, so something is wrong. Number one is the marker should be planted as soon as those polylines are added, and number two is the marker when I'm clicking these polylines isn't being planted at all, so there's something going on there. Let me just take a look here. Well, I'm not sure immediately why the polyline marker isn't, or why the marker isn't dropping when the polyline is clicked, but let's first work on dropping the marker as soon as the route is calculated. So here we're setting the selected marker to invisible, and then just before this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on polyline click and pass the polyline. And I'm suspecting that maybe it's because it's not being posted on the main thread. In this case, it's going to be posted on the main thread. So and I'm just going to make sure that, oops, on polyline click listener, that's all good. So yeah, this is being posted on the main thread, so we'll take a look and see if the marker is being planted here. Okay, go to the chat room, go to the fragment. I'll click on this one, calculate route, yes, and oh, that's interesting. So, oh no, that's right. Yeah, so yeah, it's doing what it's supposed to, but for some reason the marker is not planting. Let me just zoom out. Maybe it's being planted in a different spot, just to make sure. Maybe I reversed the latitude and longitude. No, that's the, wait. Let's go down to here. Oh yeah, that is it. So this needs to be longitude. That's the issue. So we'll run that again. Go to the chat room. Go to the fragment. Click on one of these, calculate the route, and there we go. So that's good. So we have the routes being drawn on here. We have the trip duration, the trip number. If I select the different routes, you can see it's changing. So trip 1, trip 2, and trip 3. It's highlighting. It's giving me the different durations in the info window, and the markers are dropping just like they should. So now the last kind of piece of this is when we calculate a route. So if I go here and I calculate a route, I want the camera to zoom in. So we're going to work on that probably in the next video, that or the one after. And I also want, oh, it's actually working already. I was just, oh no, yeah. So we want to be able to highlight the fastest trip. So right now, as you can see, it's highlighting trip number 2 just because that was the one that ran second in the loop. So it's just highlighting the 1 second in the loop. But what we want is it to actually find the shortest route and highlight that one. So in this case, the duration is 9 minutes on trip 1 and 12 minutes on trip 2. So it should have highlighted trip number 1 first, but it highlighted trip number 2 because it came second in the loop. So that's what we're going to work on here. So if we go up to the add polylines to map method, right here we can figure out which is the fastest route. So I'm going to go double duration. Actually, I'm going to add this to the top above the loop. Double duration equals 99999. So lots of 9s, very big number. That's kind of our starting number. And now inside here we can do temp duration equals route.legs 0.duration and then in seconds. And then what I want to do is say if temp duration is less than duration, which it will be right off the bat because the initial duration is very high, then we can do duration equals temp duration and on polyline click to polyline. So what this is going to do is it's going to loop through all of the times, all the durations, and at the end of the day it's going to end up highlighting the one with the shortest duration. That's what the purpose of this is going to be. So let's run it and take a look. Alright, I'm going to go to the chat room, go to the fragment, click on any one of these to get the root. I'm going to zoom in, and that is not right. So it should have highlighted the shortest one. So there's a problem with the logic here. Oh, I see. I called on polyline click twice. You definitely only want to call that once inside here, so that this is the only time that the polyline is changed. So let's try that again. Should be last time. All right, go into the chat room, going to the fragment, going to determine a route. So trip number 1 is 5 minutes in this case, and trip number 2 is 8 minutes. So that's working good. I'm just going to do it on one more just to make sure everything's working. I'm going to calculate the route here. Yeah, and there we go. So now we have it selecting the correct route. So everything at this point is working as we expect. So now we need to do a couple more things. Number 1, you can see that marker right there never got reset back to its icon when I calculated the second trip. So basically we need a way to re-add all of the marker clusters after a trip has been calculated or polylines have been added. And we also need to zoom the camera in to wherever that trip is being calculated when the trip is first calculated. So we'll start working on those in the next video.